Unique is running off of almost exclusively revenge and Rak hatred right now, and no matter how much Rak tried to advocate for herself, he didn't want to hear it. And the way he's changed from his brain injuries makes me wonder if he'll ever be able to hear anything that goes against what his brain has led him to believe. Rak could present a complete list of all the reasons why everything Unique thinks makes no sense, but he wouldn't be able to hear her right now, and he may never be able to. It's put Rak in this very dire position because she's completely behind the 8 ball right now with everything, and there's not a whole lot she can do without majorly disrupting everything. But what other choice does she have? Unique came in hot, and with Kwan's backing, there's no telling how much further this will go, especially the longer she sits around twiddling her thumbs with no product. The only thing Rak does have going for her right now is that Unique is so mad and blinded by it. He found the one person in Russo with an axe to grind and a play to make, but the minute something goes wrong, who will he? And when someone is consumed by so much hate, they're liable to make a mistake because they can't see beyond it. Of course, Rak has to worry about not only Unique but also Kenan and Stefano, ironically enough, for similar reasons. Say what you want about Rak, and there's plenty, but a lot of crazy stuff has gone down on her watch. And sure, she's found a way to survive at every turn, but acting as if under her leadership, things haven't been a hot-ass mess at times would be disingenuous at best. Stefano's a bigot and a lot misogynistic, but Unique's re-emergence has him seeing all the pieces of the board and realizing that he's not sure he wants Rak to be his king piece. Stefano and Rak are tied to each other for better or worse, but he has no allegiance to her beyond what she can do for him. It's obvious that he sees her as a liability in everything, especially because he knows she and Unique have a history. According to the show's official synopsis, Power Book 3, Raising Kenan goes back to 1991 when Supras are the whip of choice and a fly shearling coat is a symbol of status in the hood. Kenan navigates this world of glamour and grit as he comes into his own and gets out of the shadow of his mother, Rak, who runs the streets of Southside Jamaica, Queens, with her brothers, Marvin and Lulu. Despite Kenan being under their watchful eyes, danger lurks just around the corner. There's Unique, a rival dealer who has his eye on the family's turf, and Detective Malcolm Howard, a pestering cop who gets a kick out of harassing community members and getting under Rak's skin. In today's episode, Season 4, Episode 4, The Way We Were, Unique forms an unlikely alliance in his vendetta against Rak while she inches closer to a new drug enterprise. Kenan takes advice from Snaps and Pop, and Jukebox's new friendship leads to a violent encounter. Imani and Lulu meet with Lowell, and he doesn't care how much Lulu hypes himself up. He wants the two of them to work together with Birilla, and that's that. Marvin and Early have a really good-looking pasta meal with Stefano. Marvin wants Early to be Stefano's new sports betting guy since he killed the last one. Stefano's okay with it, but he does warn Marvin that any mistake by Early will reflect on him, and this is all obviously going to go terribly wrong eventually. Kenan meets with Kwan and tells him to bypass Rak and just come to him if he needs anything. Kwan, like almost everyone on this show, is a Rak hater at heart, so he seems okay with that. Unique and Damon hit Uncle Terry's warehouse with the sole purpose of killing people, and Damon should have stayed himself back in Jersey because he's killed and Unique barely makes it out alive. Imani and Lulu meet with Lowell, and he doesn't care how much Lulu hypes himself up. He wants the two of them to work together with Birilla, and that's that. Marvin and Early have a really good-looking pasta meal with Stefano. Marvin wants Early to be Stefano's new sports betting guy since he killed the last one. Stefano's okay with it, but he does warn Marvin that any mistake by Early will reflect on him, and this is all obviously going to go terribly wrong eventually. Kenan meets with Kwan and tells him to bypass Rak and just come to him if he needs anything. Kwan, like almost everyone on this show, is a Rak hater at heart, so he seems okay with that. Rak has ops everywhere and has no one to blame but herself. Even so, how she's being accused of things she didn't do left, right, and center is getting ridiculous. Like Kanan driving by and seeing her paying off some cops during Power Book 3, Raising Kenan season for Episode 7 means his mom killed Famous. Why everyone must jump from A to Z off vibes alone must be studied. This whole season has revolved around hating Rak, and it's the one thing she has been unable to escape. If anything, it's somehow only gotten worse this season. Kanan's been slowly descending into an uncontrollable hatred, and Unique has been bathing in disdain since returning from the dead. Unique and Rack's standoff in the kitchen was a long time coming, but it wasn't a fair fight if you want to call it that, because Unique obviously had the element of surprise and the upper hand the whole time. Unique couldn't help himself when it came to taunting Rack and making it known exactly what he was after. The second he had the backing he needed and a plan in place, he came out of the shadows and immediately revealed himself to Rack. He went to Rack before he even linked back up with Panessa. Well, we've known Unique was back since Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 3 Episode 10, but Rack didn't. She, and everybody but Early and a veterinarian, thought Unique was long gone, no longer a threat on the south side. She and everyone thought wrong. I was starting to worry about how long they would keep Unique hidden because there's only so long you can hide in plain sight. With each move Unique made, he was putting himself out there more and more, and at some point, somebody was going to see him and realize, damn, you look a lot like Unique. Unique would then open his mouth and make a quip about coming back from the dead, and the jig would be up. Since Unique was well enough to take care of himself again, the plan has always been to bring down Rack and take back what he felt was stolen from him, but when you're considered dead for an undetermined amount of time, it means you return to nothing. Unique's initial pitch to Russo didn't get him anything but a headache, but when he returned to him during Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 4 Episode 6, he had much more to offer. Unique has always been highly ambitious and intelligent. You could never ascend to the heights he did without those two traits, but since his return, he's been consumed by revenge and unable to see much beyond it. Not only was there no product for Unique, but he didn't have any people either. One thing we've learned throughout all of the power shows is that you've got to have a plan, and you've got to have a team. Without those two things, you will be DOA. Unique was smart enough to recognize that the only hand he really had to play was to recruit others who hated Rack or, at the very least, would agree to bring her down. That's why he went to Teresa Bozelli in the first place. He played on her grief, and then he got in front of Russo so he could try to play multiple angles. Russo wanted to avenge Sal, but maybe even more than that, Stefano was the kind of boss he would love to be. Unique's initial pitch to Russo didn't get him anything but a headache, but when he returned to him during Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 4 Episode 6, he had much more to offer. Unique has always been highly ambitious and intelligent. You could never ascend to the heights he did without those two traits, but since his return, he's been consumed by revenge and unable. Well, we've known Unique was back since Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 3 Episode 10, but Rack didn't. She, and everybody but Early and a veterinarian, thought Unique was long gone, no longer a threat on the south side. She and everyone thought wrong. I was starting to worry about how long they would keep Unique hidden because there's only so long you can hide in plain sight. With each move Unique made, he was putting himself out there more and more, and at some point, somebody was going to see him and realize, damn, you look a lot like Unique. Unique would then open his mouth and make a quip about coming back from the dead, and the jig would be up. Since Unique was well enough to take care of himself again, the plan has always been to bring down Rack and take back what he felt was stolen from him, but when you're considered dead for an undetermined amount of time, it means you return to nothing. Unique's initial pitch to Russo didn't get him anything but a headache, but when he returned to him during Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 4 Episode 6, he had much more to offer. Unique has always been highly ambitious and intelligent. You could never ascend to the heights he did without those two traits, but since his return, he's been consumed by revenge and unable to see much beyond it. Not only was there no product for Unique, but he didn't have any people either. One thing we've learned throughout all of the power shows is that you've got to have a plan, and you've got to have a team. Without those two things, you will be DOA. He knows that taking Unique anywhere public would be a bad idea. It could only backfire as the people responsible for trying to kill him could still be looking to finish the job. Unique himself tries to go back to the normal world in his injured state, but to no avail. With Tyler's help, he realizes that rather than rushing back into the game, he should use his newfound invisibility as a cloak to carry out his own purpose. In the flashback, we also learn a huge piece of news: Rack is pregnant with Unique's child. The third season showed them exploring a likely relationship. However, it all started to fizzle away once Rak went back into game mode and Unique got taken out by his brother. However, the brief union between them led to Rak's pregnancy. The news is just as shocking to her as it might be for anybody. So, she does what she does best and keeps it hidden from everyone close to her. Instead, she heads off to the local hospital to carry out an abortion on the baby. The doctor asks Rak why she is looking to get rid of the baby. She explains that considering the amount of stuff going on in her life, she has no time for another kid. It's hard enough to parent Kenan, who is already distant from her and hates her. The hospital workers learn from her reports that the father of the unborn child passed away recently. The doctor decides to set her up with a therapist to talk out her feelings as she gets ready for her abortion. After the procedure, Jukebox drives Rak back home. Strangely, Rak decides to come clean about the baby's abortion to Jukebox. Thus, the girl is the only one who knows anything about Rak's baby and the father's identity. She expects Jukebox to be shocked at the news. However, the girl is too shocked to even react to the news. Rak tells her to keep it a secret from the rest of the family. Another secret to add to the list of growing life. While Unique and Kenan are working through their stuff in the flashback, we also glimpse Marvin and Kenan's life. The former takes on a mission from Stefano Marchetti, the New York godfather, to intimidate Tommaso, his big-shot son-in-law. Tommaso has been running around town cheating on his wife, who is also Stefano's daughter. Marvin is told to rough him up in indirect terms, which he does in an efficient fashion. The New York godfather is pleased by his work and promises that this will only help him in the future, meaning Stefano is likely willing to answer one of his favors. Meanwhile, Kenan has a strange problem presented to him out of nowhere. His high school research project is still due, and he has to complete it by finding out more about one of his grandparents. After all the drug trading and illegal stuff Kenan has been doing recently, it is hard to remember he is a teenager in high school still. However, the research project storyline helps bring a sense of normalcy to his character for a brief period. We see him go back to his grandma's house, asking to learn more about Grandpa Elijah. Somehow, Kenan can sense a bit of kinship with his late grandfather, who his grandmother describes as someone just like him. The boy goes around interrogating every family member about Elijah's personality and what he was like as a person. Everyone shares something different, Marvin and Lulu included. He refrains from asking his mother because of the distance in their relationship. She tells him that no matter how much he hates her, she will always unconditionally love him. Later, Kenan makes the shocking discovery that his grandmother has cancer and is dying. He is the only one to know, and she urges him not to share the information with her children, fearing that they will make the news about themselves. Meanwhile, Unique sends out Tyler to reckon the situation outside and where everyone stands in the puzzle. The latter returns to inform Unique that Ronnie is working with Kenan, and Rak is back dealing again despite promising to be out. Unique hypothesizes that Kenan and Rak must be in cahoots and likely sent Ronnie after him. Tyler points out that he is making big assumptions, but the man already has his target set. The final parts of the episode take us back to the present day, where Unique takes out his gun and points it toward Ronnie and Howard's dead bodies. He is seemingly now on a collision course with Season 4 of Power Book 3, Raising Kenan, brings us back into the folds of the South Jamaica neighborhoods as Kenan continues his journey into the person we know him from Power. After the shocking ending of Season 3, Episode 1 of the 4th season jumps straight into the thick of the action, providing more details and answers to our burning questions. It feels familiar to go through the same environments that have become so resonant with the series, including Café Vause. It has been a regular destination since Season 3's events, providing a deeper insight into Lulu's character and the music scene that is so pivotal to the series. However, it also plays a vital role in fleshing out the world and the era. Power Book 3, Raising Kenan, introduces a number of fictional locales throughout its various seasons. These places either add to the world-building aspect of the series or have an important relation to specific elements of the plot and characters. Café Vause fits more into the second category. It is a fictional club crafted by Sasha Penn, which brings more clarity and depth to Lulu's ongoing storyline of trying to break away from Rak's world. We have known for quite a while that Lulu is tired of living a life dictated by his sister, who is wrapped up in the dangers of the underworld. While he started the series as a loyal foot soldier who does not question anything, he has undergone a radical shift in his thinking and wants to have nothing to do with his family. To that end, Café Vause presents an opportunity to have a life outside Rak's circle. The club was first introduced in Season 3 as a place that needed revitalization. Lulu sees this as a golden opportunity to have something of his own. His previous plans of succeeding with his record company were also motivated by a desire to break the bonds shackling him to his sister. While it didn't work out exactly as planned, Cafe Vals presented another shot at the same dream. However, in Season 3, we see a progressive decline in Lulu's mental state as he struggles with the guilt of his past life and the inability to move forward. He quickly spirals out of control and becomes a liability to the Thomas family and to Rack's needs. In his desperate state, Cafe Vals is one of the few things that helps him hunger. All it took was a few small pieces of information about Rack and Kanan to set him on a full-blown revenge tour. And isn't it interesting how easy it is to hear something and then jump to every conclusion in the book to fit the narrative you need to sustain your bloodthirsty anger? Unique was not in his right mind, but he was also hell-bent on getting back at Ronnie and whoever else he felt was responsible for what happened to him. Unfortunately, Rack and Kenan fell into that trap once he started hearing about how they were moving. In a perfect world, Unique would have gone straight to Rack, and they would have formulated a plan together, but who could Unique trust? His own brother wanted him dead, so why would he think that his surprise return would be something anyone would welcome when they got something for themselves now that he was out of the picture? Early was right to tell Unique to wait in the shadows because while it may have seemed like he was down and out, he ultimately did have the upper hand. He could move in silence, find the weaknesses, and pounce when the opportunity arose. In a perfect world, Unique would have gone straight to Rack, and they would have formulated a plan together, but who could Unique trust? His own brother wanted him dead, so why would he think that his surprise return would be something anyone would welcome when they got something for themselves now that he was out of the picture? Early was right to tell Unique to wait in the shadows because while it may have seemed like he was down and out, he ultimately did have the upper hand. He could move in silence, find the weaknesses, and pounce when the opportunity arose. But even knowing all those things doesn't excuse her actions because Rack has done some messed up stuff. Rack does what she needs to do to survive and protect the people she loves at all costs, but at the same time, she takes away a lot of their agency. She's created dynamics in which the people she loves don't trust or respect her, which eats at her no matter what. When was the last time we had a new hour of Power Book 3 Raising Kenan? It has felt like 47 years since we saw the events of Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 3 Episode 10 play out, and I won't lie to you. I needed a refresher course on everything that went down in the bloody finale, so this hour was a blessing in disguise. Instead of picking up where things left off, the series took another route, taking us back in time to relive all the moments we missed leading up to the shocking finale. I wasn't sure what to make of the decision to jump 3 months back, considering we'd already lived through these events, right? And if they were showing us new things now, why were they not included to begin with? Well, the answer to that was pretty damn easy when some of the first images of Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 4 Episode 1 we got was of an alive Unique making his way to a pay phone. We all knew Unique was alive, obviously, but the most fascinating part of the whole hour was seeing how he pulled himself from the woods and then eventually managed to make it to that abandoned warehouse over the course of 3 months. We all knew Unique was a fighter, but he was possessed by the spirit of betrayal and revenge when he willed himself to that pay phone. He was lucky someone was there to answer the call because he wouldn't have made it otherwise. Early was hilarious and a welcome addition to the season already. He was primarily motivated by self-interest, but he was also the only reason Unique got better, and the two of them should make for an interesting little duo. For starters, this was not the same Unique we knew in the past. Unique was always about his business and getting what he felt he deserved, but we also saw his walls break down when he and Rack started their little love affair because the two had much more in common than they ever gave much thought to. Rack often kept Unique at a distance during Power Book 3, Raising Kenan Season 3, whereas Unique seemed to be more invested, in the sense that you could see his feelings more in his actions and words than you could with Rack. When Unique died, Rack had a moment or two to mourn what could have been, but she also didn't dwell on it much and kept it moving, which could be the tagline. Beginning with Jukebox in the Army, Raising Kenan Season 4 Episode 2 It's All Love takes us on a journey that ends with an unhinged, Unique killing lawyer Andre Barnes, Lulu returning from rehab, Marvin taking on more work for Stefano, and Kenan requesting his more for the Roop. After a retrospective start to Season 4, the second episode jumps straight into gear as we finally see our favorite characters try to move on with their lives following Season 3's bombastic end. The first episode provided all the context surrounding Unique and how he is now on a revenge mission against Rack and Kenan. However, the Thomas family has more problems on its plate than worrying about what Unique might do next, especially considering the fact that they are unaware if he is even alive. The FBI's interest remains a concern for Rack, who worries about her operation's safety and what the authorities might do next. Meanwhile, Lulu starts to take strides towards a positive reformation, similar to his brother from a few seasons ago. As word spreads of Howard and Ronnie's passing, the NYPD speaks to the media in another location. They claim that there was some sort of collusion between the two. Alongside their lawyer, Andre Barnes, Rack and Marvin watch the broadcast live on TV. The latter informs Rack that the task group has disbanded and that any investigation against Marvin has been withdrawn, thereby releasing her brother from outside scrutiny. The matriarch of the family, nevertheless, is still concerned about the FBI's role. Barnes assures her that he will update her on developments. As Kenan goes back to his drug business, Crystal comes by to visit. The two share some tender moments together. Miles away, Lulu is let out of Cedar Shores Rehabilitation Center, finally leaving the medical facility with a clean bill of health and ready to make amends for his past lapses. Marvin picks him up from the spot. Crystal and Kenan get handsy with one another, eventually